What is going on, everybody? Been a diehard Pistons fan since '03, and tonight is a good night to be a diehard Pistons fan because the Detroit Pistons just beat the Atlanta Hawks by 1 point. Final score 122 to 121, coming at the hands of a last second shot from Cade Cunningham with 8 seconds remaining in the game, followed up by a game sealing block also by Cade. In this video, we're going to go through 4 key performances that I do want to highlight and then talk about some overall team stuff because despite the win, man, it wasn't always pretty and it was a crazy game. So the first player that we do need to talk about is Cade. He finishes the night with a third straight triple-double. That's 3 games in a row with triple-doubles for Cade. Had 22 points, 11 boards, and 13 assists. As I mentioned, he had the go-ahead shot with 8 seconds remaining, took Dyson Daniels off the dribble for a left-handed scoop, and then followed it up by blocking Okongwu at the rim to close out the game. Cade did play what I would say was a good game, but the turnovers were frustrating at times, as they have been all year. I don't want to get too deep in the weeds on that in this video specifically. Might make a whole other video on that conversation. There was 7 of those turnovers, and a lot of them were pretty painful. But at the end of the day, you can never complain about a dude who had 3 straight triple-doubles in 3 straight games and just closed this one out when we needed it the most, especially considering there's been a lot of conversation about how we've been closing out games, and it finally worked out where we were able to win this one. So moving on, the second player that I do want to highlight is Jaden Ivey. He finishes the night with 18 points, 3 boards, 3 assists, 7 of 13 shooting. Jaden Ivey didn't have a game where the stats are going to jump off the screen, anything crazy like that, relatively in line with his averages or even a little bit below. But I did want to give him a special shout out because he did guard Trae Young for the better half of the night, and I thought that he did a relatively decent job at doing that. I say relatively decent because Trae Young is a tough assignment for anybody, and I thought Jaden Ivey did as good of a job as he possibly could have in that situation. He was just very active on the defensive end, finished with 3 blocks as well to go along with a steal. So all the credit to Jaden Ivey for the way he played tonight, in my opinion. Next guy that I do want to highlight is going to be Tobias Harris. He finishes the game with 22 points, which I believe is his first 20-point game of the season. Will go along with 6 rebounds, 2 assists. He was 5 of 8 from 3, which was great to see because that corner 3 ball has not been falling for Tobias throughout the first couple weeks of the season here, but tonight they were hitting. He finished 7 of 13 from the field in total, and his scoring was just very steady, was one of the main reasons we were able to get out to a lead at the start of the game, and really can't give him enough credit. Tobias, I know, is someone who I was very excited to get over the summer, and despite not playing exactly amazing through the first part of the season where he's been blowing the brakes off people, I think that just kind of his steady scoring is probably underappreciated already by us Pistons fans because he's just a rock for this team, and tonight it was definitely completely needed. So the last person I do want to highlight is going to be Beasley. He had 22 points off the bench, 8 of 14 shooting, 3 of 9 from 3. But there's even more to his game outside of just the scoring and the shooting ability because he is what I would consider a leader. On the floor, he leads by example. On defense, he's maybe not the world's best perimeter defender by any stretch, but he really gets into it. He's always clapping, gassing himself up, gassing his teammates up. Just really love having this dude on this team. As every game goes by, I like having Malik Beasley on this team even more and more. And he shoots the hell out of the ball, of course, but on the defensive end, as I mentioned, he's just very animated, and I personally love that type of stuff. So let's talk about the end of the game, because, man, it was crazy. The Pistons, of course, got out to a big lead. At one point, they were up by 24 points in the first half. The Hawks crawled back into it, climbed back into it, mostly at the hands of our turnovers, and down the stretch, the Pistons pulled out the win. We've had a lot of opportunities, games like this throughout the start of the season where we get to the end of the games and the offense goes stagnant. and we're unable to score the ball. I felt like we had pretty good execution on that end of the floor outside of the turnovers, especially on that last play. Really like how when we were down by one, they found Cade and just let him go to work. And even though Dyson Daniels was on him, who is obviously a great defender, he finishes the night with like, I don't even know, 7 steals on the stat sheet, but it felt like 100. And he went straight at him, left-handed lay, nothing but backboard and net, and it was awesome. So it all worked out. We've had a hard time closing out games when games have been close in the fourth quarter. So really happy to see how that game ended, and obviously excited about the win. Love the fact that everybody pitched in. Believe it or not, Cade Cunningham was actually the last player that played for the Pistons to score the ball tonight. The Pistons had every single player in the rotation on the scoring sheet outside of Cade until Cade scored his first 2. So really happy with the fact everybody played a big role in this game. Even guys like Paul Reed, Holland, Fontecchio, obviously didn't mention them in the highlighted players, but I felt like they all played their part. Outside of the turnovers, I'm really happy with this game. It was sloppy at times, but I felt like the compete level, which is something we've emphasized, is where I want it to be. The Pistons are competing at a level that we haven't seen over the past couple of years as far as just that general effort type of stuff goes, and I really, really, really like to see that. Obviously, the other stuff, as we talked about plenty of times, the turnovers, the all that just needs to eventually get better, and I believe it will. I think those things will sort itself out. The team's competing hard, and that's really the main thing for me right now. And the fact we're able to pull out this win is an encouraging sign. That brings us to 4-6 on the season as we head into a game on Sunday against the Rockets. 2 games below 500 is not a bad place for the Pistons to be right now, especially considering the gauntlet of a schedule we had to start the season off with. And this was just an encouraging win. These are the type of wins that you're able to build off of, that build confidence, especially in the fashion that we won it. These types of games will build confidence for Cade, that he can be confident at the end of games to go get a shot for himself and win us games. And it's the NBA. A lot of games are going to end like this. I know that over the past couple of years, we've unfortunately been so bad that we haven't had that many of these games. But competitive teams in the NBA, especially ones that are where we would hope to be at the end of this year, talking, play-in contenders, you're going to have more games like this than not. Games that come down to the last 2 minutes, the last couple possessions, and just being able to build some confidence and momentum to be able to close these games out, I feel like it's just so essential. So even though this was a sloppy game, even though there was a lot of turnovers that made me cringe, I really, really, really love the fact that we were able to close this out, and I'm excited because, of course, after the Hornets game where Brandon Miller got the game winner, I just had a really bad feeling on that last play when Trae Young had the ball with 8 seconds left that we were going to lose in the same fashion that we did to the Hornets. I could feel it in my gut, but my gut was wrong. Cade recovered, got the block on a Kongwu, and I couldn't be more excited. Been kind of all over this place in this video because I recorded this straight after the game. My heart rate was up, and that's all I can ask for as a fan because, over the past couple of years, a lot of times by this point in the night, I'm sleeping on my couch, not even worried because they weren't competing like that. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch up with y'all soon.